Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. Well, it is schedule release day. At least it's the day we talk about it on the podcast. First of all, I appreciate everybody that swung by the website I put together pretty last minute. PackersGames.com. Let me look real quick. Today we had 340 active users, 2.4 thousand events, whatever exactly that means. Page views, button clicks. There's nothing really to click, so a lot of page views. So appreciate all that. Appreciate you guys coming to hang out. I don't know exactly what to do with the site anymore. I will probably slap some, the ability to buy tickets if you want to go buy some. I tried to have that done by today, but it started getting all jacked up, so I said, let's forget it because I need this working today. Also got the idea from Brooke in Chicago to create that sort of Packer fan exchange. Been talking a lot about how Packer fans need to do a better job of selling their tickets to Packer fans. I don't know if I'll be able to get that done, but I will absolutely be trying to get that done because I think that's important. But otherwise, it's just going to sit there. If somebody wants to buy it off me, I'll sell it to you for very cheap because I just don't want to deal with it, to be honest with you. But I'm going to assume, it's already kind of late, I'm going to assume this is going to be somewhat of a short episode. I'm not going to go massively in depth on every single one of these, and I'm obviously not going to do NFC North because, again, for two of them, we've already done it. For one of them, we still have to do it, but we'll just kind of do sort of an executive overview summary type of deal. But to start off with, first of all, the preseason, we will be going up against the New York Jets. By the way, it's home, away, home. We get two home games. They kind of alternate. You get two home and an extra away, or you get two away and extra home for the regular season, et cetera, et cetera. This year we get two home games for the preseason on the 8th of August, 7:15 p.m. against the New York Jets. Could not be more excited about that. That is, what did I say it was? 85 days? Well, 86. Less than 86 days until we got actual football going on. Next week, we are against the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. And then we've got the Seattle Seahawks at home the following week. Then we get into the regular season. Week 1, we finally get our home game. It has been a very long time since the Packers have had a Week 1 home game. Unfortunately, it's against the freaking Detroit Lions. So it's a 3:25 game. It's not a primetime game, but it's 3:25 at home against the Detroit Lions. Week 2, we follow that up with the Washington Commanders. So back-to-back, pretty tough games. However, they are both at home. The Washington Commanders game is going to be a Thursday game. So we got a Sunday night, then a short week to Thursday to play another playoff team. And then we get a bunch of rest, which is great for the freaking Cleveland Browns. So, anyways, that one's on the road. Then week 4, we get our second already primetime game against the Dallas Cowboys. This one's going to be on the road, September 28th, 7:20 p.m., some Sunday night football. Week 5 is our very early bye week, unfortunately. It happens. It happened to us not very long ago. The Eagles last year, who won the Super Bowl, had a Week 5 bye. Just got to freaking suck it up and deal with it, you know what I mean? Coming off the bye, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, Sunday 3:25 game at home. Week 7, October 19th on Sunday, again 3:25. We don't have a lot of noon games, do we? There's a bunch of 4 later, but that's kind of crazy. Oh, what is the Carolina one? I didn't put that down. That's a noon game also. Anyway, sorry, continuing. I'm worried about freaking getting my site correct. Arizona is going to be a 3:25 game on Sunday. The next week, we get our third primetime game. This is going to be Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Obviously, there's a reason they're doing that, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense outside of they are assuming Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that is going to be a massive game, assuming Aaron Rodgers is there. Now, hopefully it's not a massive game, but as far as media hype and all that kind of stuff, every reason to believe that's going to be a big game. Follow that up, another Sunday game, Carolina Panthers at noon. So we finally get just a normal Sunday noon game against the Carolina Panthers. That game's going to be at home. Then we get our fourth primetime game. This time it's Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles on November 10th. That game also at home. After that, the Packers go back on the road, but it's against the Giants, so it should be not super tough of a game. It's November 16th at noon. Follow that up with the Minnesota Vikings, November 23rd at noon in Green Bay. Finally, this week falls on my birthday, by the way, or I finally get a season where, however many years go by before it to actually fall on my birthday, where Sunday, is on my birthday. But no, Green Bay Packers, Thursday, November 27th, will be playing Thanksgiving. I'm very happy about that, by the way. I like the Thanksgiving games. Noon at Detroit Lions. I'm all about it. The following week, December 7th at noon, Chicago Bears. That's in Green Bay. December 14th, this is week 15, 3:25 game on the road in Denver. Then December 20th, Chicago Bears. We play the Chicago Bears at noon. I'm calling that a Christmas game. It is not on Christmas Day, but the week of Christmas on a Saturday, that's sort of the Christmas Day game type of thing. Before we move on, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this. Our season, whoever put this together is psychotic. The last 5 weeks were Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Chicago, which is to say 4 out of 5 games are division rivals, and we play the Bears twice in 3 weeks. Most absurd frickin' thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, week 17, we play the Baltimore Ravens. That one is going to be at home. Looks like it's December 27th or 28th, Saturday or Sunday, time to be determined. Week 18 will be Saturday or Sunday, January 3rd or 4th, time to be determined for the Minnesota Vikings. So, that is Detroit, Washington, Cleveland, Dallas, Cincy, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Philadelphia, Giants, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Chicago, Baltimore, Minnesota. That is the official schedule. By the way, very similarly to last year, I will give the Green Bay Packers social media team credit for the improvements they've made over the last couple years. But once again, this was an awful schedule release video. I'm not sure. I have a feeling the sentiment among Packer fans is that was so wonderful, just like it was last year. It was bad. And guys, I'm going to simplify this for you. I maybe you already had it in the works, so you didn't hear me say this not too long ago. You have to stop pretending that just by cramming as many cameos in as we can that it's going to make a good video. Every Packer in the history of Packerdom was in this video. About half the current roster was in it. Mason Crosby was in it. James Jones was in it. The entire social media team was in it. Mark Murphy was in it, although I did enjoy Mark Murphy's part. But it wasn't good. That's the problem. You still have to come up with something good. So let me simplify this further for you. Just make fun of our opponents. That's it. If you want to use our players as cameos, you can, but just remember, they're football players, not actors. They're going to do a bad acting job, and it's probably going to make the video worse. If you want to throw in a couple cameos, that's fine. Don't make them run the whole thing because they do it. Oh, yeah, Lil Wayne was in it, which is great, but again, didn't make it better. Just make fun of our opponents. That's it. Make fun of the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings, especially. Make fun of the Washington Commanders by making fun of, like, Washington, D.C. or something. They're not well run. Cleveland is easy to make fun of. Dallas, are you freaking kidding me? Cincinnati shouldn't be tough. Arizona, I don't know. I mean, you probably can't make fun of the quarterback's height, although I would. You know what I mean? Like, you guys put so much work and effort into an idea that made no freaking sense whatsoever. It was like a concept. Nobody cares about a concept, bro. Just make fun of the other teams. So, yeah, it was embarrassingly bad. I get the impression we have just maybe one too many theater school people running the social media thing. Guys, it's pretty, just be mean. That's it. Just make fun of people. It's locker room stuff. It's, you're stupid and you suck. That's it. That's the whole thing. So 2026, get prepared. Come up with 32 teams and how you can make fun of them. Or you can probably figure out who our opponents are, right? Just make fun of them. Or if that's too harsh for you, you could come up with some creative thing about their city or something about their players. I don't know, but that... I mean, the whole video had nothing to do with our schedule. It was just an excuse for you to, like, come up with this weird little short film you wanted to make. And then at the very end, the schedule just scrolled past, which, by the way, we already knew the schedule by the time it came out, so that wasn't even interesting. So all I'm left with is this little short film that's bad. I don't get it. So if you haven't seen it, please don't feel like you missed anything. Feel free to watch it and tell me if you agree or disagree, but I would say it's borderline worse than last year because I feel like last year was a little bit more coherent. It's just bad, man. But anyways, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll do a little bit of digging into each of these opponents real quick, and then we'll get up out of here. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so first of all, as far as strength of schedule, and it depends how you do it, and, again, as I said, these things are subject to change. As of right now, the Packers are looking at the 5th hardest strength of schedule. I think a lot of that has to do with being in the NFC North, because usually they just go based on last year's record. There's going to be a better version of that, which we will look into when that eventually comes out. Should be very soon. But just FYI, as of right now, Week 5 bye week creates a 12-game stretch to finish the season. They do have the 2 home games to start the season, which is great. There are 3 separate instances of back-to-back road games, weeks 3 and 4 against Cleveland and Dallas. Hopefully that's not that strenuous. Week 7-8 against Arizona, Pittsburgh. Again, hopefully not very strenuous. Week 15 and 16, hopefully not strenuous. It's hard to tell at this point. Cleveland should be easy. I don't know about Dallas. They were pretty bad last year. Arizona, Pittsburgh, I have no idea. Arizona can never pick a lane, and Pittsburgh seems to be getting worse, but they also almost never, or they just don't have losing seasons, plus Rodgers might go, and I don't know what that means. Denver, Chicago, Denver seemed to be getting better with their new quarterback. Chicago was terrible with, I don't know. We might have caught a break with the back-to-back road games where we don't face back-to-back tough opponents. Or maybe that's not the case. Mini buys. There are a couple instances, even though we have the early buy, we've got a couple other instances of mini buys. There is extra rest after the Thursday game in week 2, but also in week 13 after the Thanksgiving game. The flip side of that would be the short weeks after Monday night, week 10, and before Saturday, week 16. The 6 total primetime games, if you include week 13 against Detroit on Thanksgiving, which I do, considering it is a nationally televised game and the only game on at that time. You've got Thursday Night Football Week 2 against Washington on Amazon, Sunday Night Football against Dallas, Monday Night Football against Philly, Thanksgiving against Detroit, and then we got the Saturday game against Chicago Week 16. General overview right now, even though the first couple weeks are tough, is that it's a soft start but a brutal finish. Only 3 of the first 8 teams were playoff teams. That's Detroit, Washington, and Pittsburgh. On the finish, though, 5 of the final 7 games are against 2024 playoff teams, 4 of the final 6 against division rivals. There's a couple potential trap games here. Week 9 against the Carolina Panthers is sandwiched between the Pittsburgh primetime game and the Eagles Monday night game. So that is a viciously terrifying game. Week 15 against the Broncos is sandwiched in between the 2 Chicago Bears games. Key games on the schedule, obviously you got some of the divisional guys, the Detroit Lions. Aside from the obvious reasons, we got the season opener, we got Thanksgiving. The Lions have been the division winner the last 2 years, and they've won 6 of the last 7 meetings. Bears, we got weeks 14 and 16. We got the general rivalry. Bears beat us week 18 last season, And because we don't play them for a long time, that's just going to be hanging over our head almost the entire season. That snapped an 11-game losing streak. Bears haven't beaten the Packers in back-to-back games since 2007. So in particular, winning the Week 14 matchup on December 7th is going to be critical, because I say so. And then, of course, there is the Ben Johnson connection there, making that a much more interesting and intense matchup. I think we'll have kind of a read on that by the time we get to that game. Vikings, they've got our Week 18 finale, which could end up being pretty massive. Again, both games coming in the last 7 weeks. Some of the notable non-division games, you got the Cowboys, Week 4. There's obviously a historic rivalry there. That's going to be on Sunday Night Football. The Steelers game, potentially with Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football. The Eagles game, which is I think going to be really interesting because nobody else really thinks about this outside of Packers fans. But, you know, the way the Packers view it, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is if there was any team that was going to beat the Eagles, it was the Packers. The only team that could match their intensity, that could match the violence, that actually played probably more physically than the Eagles was the Packers. The issue was just throwing a bunch of picks and, you know, then we lost. A lot of just stupid things happened. But this was a team that was physically capable of winning that game. And I think the Packers feel like they should have won that game, and this is an opportunity to prove that they belong. Now, by the time you get to Week 10, hopefully it's not, you know, tail between the legs. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's, you know, we're riding high at, you know, 8-1 or whatever, and it's juggernaut versus juggernaut. Finally, Week 17 against the Ravens. Hopefully, again, this is a major game between two of the top teams in football. One of the other massive negatives here is that all of our home games are smashed at the front of the season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 home games by November 10th. It doesn't really start to get very cold until December-ish. We haven't really had much snow even. I feel like the last several years, by mid-December, maybe it snowed a little bit. We have 3 home games starting late November, 2 home games in December. So in our last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, we have 3 home games. From basically Week 13, which is like, it's November 30th, so basically like December 1st-ish. There are 6 weeks from then on going into January. We only get 2 games in Lambeau Field. December 7th against the Bears, which is another cold weather team, so there's no real advantage there. And the Baltimore Ravens on December 28th, which is a relatively cold weather team. I mean, maybe cold weather is an exaggeration, but this is not a warm weather team. The only other team is the November 23rd, which is against the Minnesota Vikings. They're in a dome, but they're a cold weather team. So, you know, I mean, Carolina comes up November 2nd, but I don't know how much that's going to get us. Philadelphia, again, a team with similar weather, that is a cold outdoor physical team, November 10th. So, just not a lot going in our favor as far as the weather goes. You could argue maybe Baltimore would be the most, if you assume that, you know, December 28th is going to be 5 below and snowing or something. I don't know. I have no idea. On the negative side of the climate, weather, whatever you want to call it, Week 15, Denver, you got the altitude. And then, of course, you got some very loud environments like Minnesota and whatnot in the indoors. So I don't know that the environments really work to our advantage. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back and zoom in a little bit on these games, and then we'll get up out of here. Take a break. We'll be right back. All right, a little closer zoom in on our upcoming opponents. NFC North we're a little bit more familiar with, but we'll go through it briefly anyways. 2024 Detroit Lions went 15-2 under Dan Campbell. Number 1 scoring offense in football, lost their coordinators, etc., etc. It's going to be an important game to set the tone as far as being 1-0, not just in the NFL, but in the NFC North. Week 2, Washington Commanders. Thursday Night Football, short week. Second consecutive home game, which is great. Going to be on Amazon. Second playoff team. Washington went 12-5 last year under Dan Quinn. Obviously, they found their new starting quarterback, and they ended the season on a bit of a hot streak. They won 5 in a row to end the season, including beating the Philadelphia Eagles on Week 16. So they beat Tennessee, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Dallas to finish out the regular season. Week 3, first road game, early noon kickoff, Eastern time zone, facing off against the Cleveland Browns. It's also our first AFC opponent on the schedule. Do have a little bit of extra preparation time, 10 days after that Thursday game, going up against the 3-14 Browns. They ranked 32nd in points on offense last year, 27th in points on defense. Obviously, there were almost no wins, period, but unlike the Washington Commanders, they ended on a really low note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They lost their last 6 games in a row, 8 of the last 9 games. The only game they won was against Pittsburgh. Before that was Baltimore, and then Jacksonville Week 2. That seems impressive, but remember, those two are divisional opponents, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So outside of fluky divisional games, which, by the way, they won each of them by 1 score, the only game they won that was a non-divisional game was a 1-score win over Jacksonville. This was a terrible football team. Now, there'll be time to go more in depth about their draft picks and everything else at another time. Probably do that a little bit later as we get into the actual dead period. But for right now, it is enough to say that this is a horrifically bad football team. Not only did they lose their last 6 in a row, but they ended the season scoring in their last 5, 7, 6, 13, and 10. In fact, you could back it up one more, 14, 7, 6, 3, and 10. Dallas Cowboys had real big expectations last year, but went 7-10 under Mike McCarthy. Obviously, like a lot of these teams, there's turnover, but last year by the way, Sunday Night Football game, primetime game, second consecutive road game after the Cleveland Browns game. The end of their season wasn't the worst. Their defense was actually the biggest problem. So this potentially, depending on how things go, could be a really good opportunity to test our offense, see if you can throw up 40 points, But they ended the season scoring 34, 27, 20, 30, 26, 7, and 19, which, maybe not the greatest, but not terrible. And they actually won 4 of their last 7. So they had a winning record. The problem is they started 3-7. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a Dallas Cowboys team we get at this point, but hopefully more of the same because it was a pretty bad team last year. Week 5, we get our early bye week. Week 6, we come back off the bye against the Cincinnati Bengals at home against the Bengals. I just said that. First game against Cincinnati since 2021. Last year, they went 9-8. Another team that has the potential to be scary, but also just hasn't been. There's the issue with Joe Burrow. Can he stay healthy? All of that stuff. And then even if he is healthy and all that, last year, with a 9-8 record, they had the 6th best offense as far as scoring offense. Problem is their defense, again, terrible. They ranked 25th in points, 25th in yards, and it's really looking ugly with Trey Hendrickson. We might cover that a little bit tomorrow. It's back in the news, and it's really not looking good. Now, sometimes it's not looking good, and then boom, contract. But certainly applying some pressure with Hendrickson basically just trashing the team in the media. Not only do we have to discuss the potential of him coming here, but if they don't get a deal done and he's not there, depending on which team he goes to, we may not see him, and he's not going to be on the Bengals, and this team could just be, the defense in particular, could be really, really bad. Week 7 on the road against the Arizona Cardinals at 3 o'clock. Timing here is not terrible considering it's in October, so I think the environment could certainly be worse. I believe they have a retractable roof, if I'm not mistaken, so they have the opportunity to open that bad boy wide up and make you cook. Could be wrong about that. I know they had one. I don't know if they still do. But Cardinals last year were an 8-9 football team, so pretty mediocre. They ended the season on a very low note. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6-4, and then lost 5 of their last 7. Starting in Week 11, they lost 6-16 to Seattle, 22-23 to Minnesota, 18-30 to Seattle, beat New England, which means nothing, lost to Carolina, 36-30 in overtime, lost 9-13 to LA, and then beat San Francisco 47-24, which is pretty freaking sizable. I don't think they would have been sitting people. I don't know what San Francisco's deal was. I know it's a divisional game, but another team that very much struggled last year. Then Week 8, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, the biggest thing is going to be, is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler? The NFL is not taking any chances. Sunday Night Football, primetime showcase, second consecutive road game, Super Bowl matchup or rematch from a long time ago, but still. And then Pittsburgh, no matter how bad they seem to get, never seemed to be an actually just bad team. They were 10-7 last year. With that said, however, they completely fell off a cliff. They started off 8-2. 8-2 they started off. Finished 2-5 to end the season. They lost to Cleveland, beat Cincinnati and Cleveland the second time around, and then lost to Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. That is a rough stretch down the stretch. 27-13 to Philly. It was a pretty bad beating. 34-17 to Baltimore. So you can't even cut them too much slack because these are absolute drubbings. Kansas City, likewise, 29-10. So they couldn't even get 20 points their last 4 weeks. Cincinnati was 19-17. They ended with the 8th best defense in terms of points, but most of that had to do with the beginning of the season. I would say by about Week 9, that defensive powerhouse was kind of out the window. 27 to Washington, 24 to Cleveland, 38 to Cincinnati, 27 Philly, 34 Baltimore, 29 Kansas City. Week 9 against Carolina. As I've said before, Bryce Young, in my opinion, has certainly been improving, but that doesn't make them necessarily a great team. They were 5-12 last year with head coach Dave Canellis. Packers will be able to return home. However, this is, as I said, one of the 2 trap games between Philly and the Eagles. The fact that it's a noon game, I think, makes it worse. It's even, there's nothing notable about it. They were pretty even in terms of when they won and lost. They had 1 win early, 2 wins in the middle of the season, and 2 wins at the end of the season. They beat the Raiders, the Saints, the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. So just really bad teams for the most part they beat, and that was it. They had the 23rd ranked offense, 29th in yards. On defense, 32nd and 32nd. So a lot of really bad defenses we're going to be going up against this year. Again, we'll see if that maintains, but in terms of what they did last year, there's some potential there to give our offense a little bit of multiple jump starts, let's say, if things aren't going off on the right foot. If it's not up and running by Week 10, though, we might be in a bit of trouble. Week 10 against the Philadelphia Eagles. That is a Monday night showdown against the defending Super Bowl champions. It's a rematch of the 2024 wild card game. Eagles, if you remember, also beat the Packers in Brazil, so we lost to them twice last year. There's also 4th and 26 if we want to just bring up all the horrible things. But one of many opportunities to kind of, as I said, step up and show that this is for real. Philly probably don't need a reminder. They were 14-3, but certainly ended on a strong note, as we saw by not only did they win the Super Bowl, which makes it obvious, but the way that they ended the season was just, it felt like they got stronger and stronger every week. 2nd ranked defense in points, number 1 in yards, 7th offense, 8th in yards on offense. Hoping for a little bit of a regression from the Eagles. There were several teams. We talked about it last year. It was unprecedented how many teams had such good records. It's just very, very rare. The haves and the have-nots this past year were remarkable. Week 12 is against the Minnesota Vikings, 14-3, very, very up in the air season. Number 1, 14-3 was confusing to begin with, but also brand new quarterback. This is our first division game against Minnesota of the season. So it's just such a weird year this year. You get the Week 1 against Detroit, and then it's just No division rivals, and then it's boom, 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 right down the row. It's odd that we don't see Minnesota until week 12, especially having not seen the Bears yet. But we'll see. This is either another opportunity to get another W in a rough stretch, or this is just another tough slog against a tough team. We'll just have to wait and see. Week 13 against Detroit again. We already talked about them. This is on a short week, though. This is going to be the Thanksgiving game. This is also our last opportunity to beat the Lions if it didn't go super well the first time around. Plus, again, and this is true of all these games, this is a really tough stretch, and we need to find wins wherever we can get them. So, no question, this is going to be a massive game. Week 14, we get our first Chicago Bears matchup. A little bit of extra rest thanks to that Thanksgiving game. First of 2 meetings in a 3-week span, which is just ridiculous. Should be a pretty nice cold weather thing, which I guess that's the one kind of potentially interesting thing is you have 2 cold weather Chicago Bears games in 3 weeks. But Chicago Bears were 5-12 last year, 28th ranked offense, 32nd in yards. Obviously, they tried to address that. Their defense was 27th in yards, by the way, and their defense also did get significantly worse after they fired their head coach. Remember, this is a team who was on a, 10 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10-game losing streak. They only came off that with a last-second field goal against the Packers in a game when the Packers were in a death spiral and started pulling their players. So it doesn't get much worse than what the Bears were down the stretch. They lost to Washington, Arizona, the Patriots, 19-3. The Packers, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle. And again, a last-second field goal. And they love talking about how, we almost swept the Packers. You mean you almost got 2 wins in that stretch? You know, hilariously, that you almost also lost, right? Like that other game against the Packers was a last-second field goal, so you were a last-second field goal away from going 0-11 and 0-2 against the Packers. So, as we get into this whole thing, as we, the next few weeks come along, let's just not assume that this horrifically bad Chicago Bears team is just going to be great because Caleb got a couple mid-old guards. You know what I'm saying? Week 15 against Denver, they ended the season 10-7 under Sean Payton. Sean Payton's putting together a pretty good unit there. They had the 3rd-ranked defense, actually. Kind of started and finished on a similar note, but did finish 5 of their last 7 with wins. None of them, Kansas, they beat Kansas City 38-0, but I have a feeling they were sitting their players, so I don't know if you can count that. Their other wins were against Indy, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Atlanta. So that's a pretty bad stretch. Before that, they beat Carolina and New Orleans, which is awful. Then they beat the Raiders, the Jets, and Tampa. Yikes. So they played Seattle and lost, Pittsburgh and lost, the Chargers and lost, Baltimore lost, Kansas City lost, Chargers lost. It is right down the line. Good teams they lost to, bad teams they won. And if you're thinking, well, the Packers did the same thing. No, they didn't. It was not the same thing. They didn't lose to every good team. Check the numbers again. So that might be a little fluky. The numbers are real good, but that is a really terrible schedule. I mean, basically they went undefeated against the bad teams, right? But didn't win a single game against a even mediocre team. Was Tampa mediocre? Yeah, Tampa was 10-7, so they beat them. Whew. Still, 10-win team. Sean Payton on the road. Trap game between the 2 Chicago Bears games. High altitude. Ascending quarterback. Potentially very dangerous game. Week 16 against Chicago. We already just talked about them. This is going to be a Saturday game, though. So a little bit of a short week, 6 days. Another cold weather game against the Bears, 2nd in 3 weeks, whole thing. Week 17, Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, potentially very tough, 12-5. Assuming Lamar is healthy, that's always a tough matchup. John Harbaugh, they ended the season real strong. I mean, they played they only lost 5 games, but they won their last 4. They won 5 of their last 6, 7 of their last 9. Of their last 6 games, the only loss they had came against Philadelphia, and it was close. was a 5-point game. Before that was Pittsburgh. That was a 2-point loss. So probably don't need me to tell you, but very scary team. They were third in points, number 1 in yards on offense, and their defense ranked 9th in points, 10th in yards. So scary, scary team. Finally, week 18. Again, already went over Minnesota, but don't exactly know the date and times. This one is going to be on the road, though, so just continue. The hits just keep coming. U.S. Bank Stadium, very, very loud. Probably going to be a de facto game of some kind, whether it's playoff implications for Packers and or Vikings, NFC North standings for one or both teams, going to be contingent on that game. So, again, I think it's very obvious what we're looking at. Soft start, strong finish, at least based on last year's information. So, there you go. I am going to get out of here. Get your thoughts in on the schedule over at Packernet After Dark, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.